At the core of designing in Capture is dragging and dropping objects from the library into the design. So I'll start with dragging a proscenium into the design. And as I start adding things now, you will notice that I can see the objects I'm adding as I'm dragging them out of the library. This makes it easier to place the objects as I'm adding them to the design, but it also allows me to snap them together right away as I'm adding them. This works not only when dragging items from the library into the design, but also when using the quick copy function. So this can help make design a lot faster in Capture 2019. Obviously, this works for fixtures as well. So as I drag and drop fixtures into the design, I have them snapping to the truss immediately, and using the quick copy function as well, of course. So now I've added a few fixtures to the design. I might switch to the live view and decide to turn them on. And as I'm sure most of our users know, we use the right mouse button to click anywhere on the stage to focus the fixtures. This hasn't changed, but what has changed is that we've added an additional way of focusing fixtures. The main reason for this is that many of our users did not find the right click to focus, as it was in fact, or there was no sign that this type of functionality was there. So we have added a focus mode, which allows you to left-click anywhere on stage to focus the fixtures there. In this mode, you can either select fixtures or focus fixtures. To exit the mode, use the exit button or simply click anywhere where there are no objects, which I'm failing to do. There we go, all right. This mode in itself is not very interesting for any experienced Capture user. What is more interesting is the general concept of modes, which we have taken a little bit further in this release. Another feature we've added is the replace mode. Now, as you may know, previously in Capture, you could, by dragging and dropping fixtures from the library, you could either add a fixture or replace an existing fixture. In 2019, we've added the ability to replace objects with truss, as well as replace objects with omnidirectional fixtures. This created a lot of possible replace scenarios, and it got very messy. For this reason, we've introduced the replace mode, which means if you wish to replace something, you must first go into the replace mode. Do that by selecting one or more objects and use the replace command. You can see now I'm in the mode because the exit button appears, and I can drag and drop other fixtures from the library to replace fixtures. Now, just as before, you don't have to drop them on a selected fixture. You can actually drop on any fixture. What is important is that in the replace mode, it's impossible to add something by accident. You can only replace objects. Let's exit the replace mode and take a look at another feature related to fast, live, responsive design functionality. But before I do that, I'm going to turn on the fixtures here again and increase the zoom a bit. What I want to show you next is how we change settings like exposure, adjustment, or smoke levels. Smoke levels are changed by going to the selected items when you have a smoke box selected and editing the density property. The density property used to be a text field where you could enter a number. With Capture 2019, we have replaced this type of properties with slider editing. This is obviously a lot faster, and if you're looking for that specific look, you are much more likely to take your time with a slider to find just the level you want than by typing numbers. This type of editing applies to, apart from the smoke density, settings like the exposure adjustment, which is now also a slider, the bloom effect, hue clamp, and all other of this type of live visualization settings. Another type of settings editor related to this could be the materials color picker. So let's create a new material for the stairs I have in my design. Let's apply it to the stairs. Let's zoom in a little bit and head to the color picker of the material. As you can almost see, because I'm standing in the way here, let me just move the window here a bit. There we go. As you can see, we have a new color picker that works in real time. So you can see the color of the stairs changing as I'm editing the slider values here. I'm terrible at multitasking. So in the first mode here, we're in RGB mode, which is sort of what we're used to, but we've also added a couple of other modes in this color picker. One is the CIE lab mode, which if you're using a color scanner like the NCS color pin that we spoke about in another webcast, you can scan physical colors and get LAB values. The benefit of LAB values is that you can enter more saturated colors than you could with RGB. So let's take an example. Let's create the most saturated green we can with RGB by putting 0 to 55, 0. In the lab color space though, as you can see by the sliders, this is not the most extreme green we can mix in LAB. And that's because sRGB limits us in terms of saturation of all of the red, green, and blues. So with LAB input, you can model more accurate colors. You can scan physical colors and get perfect color accuracy in the visualization. Finally, in the third mode, we have added a number of color catalogs. So if you have an NCS color, a RAL color, or a Pantone color, these colors are now available for you to pick and apply instantly to your materials. And of course, you can use them as a base and then fine-tune them in any of the other modes of the color picker as well.